Broken heart, she whispered through the rain, "We have nowhere to go," and the billionaire who'd forgotten how to feel looked at her and said, "You do now." In that moment, two broken worlds collided, and love found its way through the storm. Welcome to Ms. Love Stories, where every heartbeat tells a tale. Subscribe now and turn on notifications, so you never miss the next intriguing love stories. Now the story begins. Rain beat against the cracked pavement like the sky itself was mourning. The city's neon lights blurred through the downpour, painting the wet streets in ghostly color. Mariam stood there, soaked to the bone, her small daughter pressed against her chest beneath a worn coat that did little to keep out the cold. The eviction notice still clung to her trembling hand, its ink bleeding under the rain. Her lips trembled, but she didn't cry, not in front of her child. Tears were a luxury she could no longer afford. "Mommy, are we going home now?" the little girl whispered. Mariam forced a smile that broke her own heart. We will, baby. Just not tonight." The word home ached. It wasn't a place anymore, it was a ghost that haunted her every breath. She looked around, cars passing, people hurrying under umbrellas, no one stopping. The world moved on, indifferent. She whispered then, barely audible, to herself, to the rain, to whatever mercy might be listening. "We have nowhere to go." Across town, lights spilled from chandeliers like liquid gold. Laughter filled the ballroom of the Kingsway Hotel as the city's elite toasted to success, pretending they weren't empty inside. At the center of it all stood Michael Davenport, billionaire, investor, and the face of power. Every camera loved him. The press called him the man who could buy heaven. But tonight, heaven felt further than ever. He lifted a glass of champagne he didn't want and smiled at jokes he didn't hear. His assistant leaned in. "Mr. Davenport, your speech was perfect as always." Her pride screamed no. Her child's trembling made her whisper, "Okay." And as she stepped into the car, soaked, silent, and scared, the camera of fate began to roll. Two strangers, one who'd lost hope, and one who'd lost meaning, driving into a story neither expected. What would you do if a stranger offered you help when you had nothing left? Would you trust them, or walk away? Reply in the comments section. The car's warmth felt unreal. For Mariam, every hum of the engine, every soft glow from the dashboard light was both comfort and confusion. She clutched her daughter's hand tighter, afraid that breathing too deeply might shatter this strange kindness. Michael sat opposite her, his expensive suit still damp, droplets glistening on his cufflinks. The silence was thick, not awkward, but heavy with the weight of two lives that didn't know what to say. He spoke first. "What's your name?" "Mariam," she whispered. "And this is Hope." "Hope," he repeated softly. The name lingered in his chest longer than expected. "That's beautiful." The little girl gave a shy nod, half asleep on her mother's lap. "Where were you going?" Michael asked. Mariam hesitated, her voice barely steady. "Nowhere. We were just trying to find a place out of the rain." He looked out the window, at the storm, at the empty streets, and something inside him cracked open. "You don't have to wander tonight," he said quietly. "I have space. You can rest at my guest house until morning. No conditions." Her eyes widened. "You don't even know us." "I know what it's like to have nowhere to go," he said, and there was something in his tone, a confession without words. She didn't reply, but the way she exhaled, the trembling sigh that left her, told a story of exhaustion too deep to hide. They reached his estate, a towering mansion at the edge of the city. As the gate opened, Mariam felt the weight of her own reflection in the tinted glass. Her wet clothes, her child's bare feet, her trembling hands. She whispered, "This isn't where we belong." Michael turned to her. "Belonging isn't always about walls and roofs. Sometimes, it's about timing." She met his gaze, and saw something strangely broken behind all that calm. A flicker of loneliness that mirrored her own. The housekeeper's shock was visible but silent. Michael's tone left no room for questions. "Prepare the guest suite. Hot water. Food." He led Mariam and Hope inside. The warmth hit her like memory, the scent of coffee, faint music, marble under tired feet. Hope's small voice echoed in wonder, "Mommy, it's so shiny." Mariam's eyes filled. Don't touch anything, she whispered instinctively, but Michael smiled gently. Let her. Things are meant to be touched, Mariam. They only break when they're unused. For a moment, time stopped. Two adults, two different worlds, standing in the quiet awe of innocence. Later that night, after Hope had fallen asleep wrapped in soft blankets, Mariam sat on the edge of the bed staring at the fire's reflection. A knock at the door. Come in, she said softly. Michael entered, holding a tray, soup, bread, and tea. You didn't eat, he said simply. She frowned. You didn't have to. I know, he interrupted gently. But I wanted to. She looked at him then, truly looked, the billionaire every headline adored, standing quietly with trembling hands as if afraid of breaking her trust. Why are you doing this? She finally asked. He hesitated. Because once. I needed someone to say, you do now. No one did. Mariam's throat tightened. No one spoke after that. Only the fire did, whispering softly, dancing between them like memory and hope. Hope stirred in her sleep, mumbling, Mommy, are we safe now? Mariam brushed her hair gently. Yes, baby. We're safe. Michael turned away, hiding the emotion in his eyes. He whispered, half to himself, then maybe, so am I. Their gazes met, quiet, unsure, fragile, but something had shifted. In that simple moment, a spark of compassion lit the path for everything that would follow. Have you ever met someone who changed your life with one act of kindness? Share your story in the comments. Someone might need to hear it today. Sunlight spilled through the tall windows of the guest suite, illuminating Mariam's tired face. She had slept fitfully, dreams haunted by past betrayals, and a fear that tonight's kindness was temporary. She sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the untouched tea on the nightstand. This isn't real, she told herself. Nothing good lasts. Her daughter stirred, rubbing sleepy eyes. Mommy, is he still here? Mariam hesitated. Yes, baby. But we should get ready. Her fingers trembled as she adjusted Hope's coat. The weight of pride and fear pressed down on her chest. Downstairs, Michael prepared breakfast. He watched the rain slowly stop outside the mansion. He knew she was awake. He wanted to go to her, to offer coffee, small talk, even a smile, anything. But pride and self-doubt gripped him. What if she hates me? What if she sees me as the man with money trying to control her life? He poured orange juice, set 2 plates of toast and eggs, and waited. Every fiber of his body urged him to reach out, yet a quiet voice whispered, maybe she'll leave if I do nothing. Mariam descended to the kitchen, her posture stiff, eyes wary. Good morning, Michael said gently, trying to bridge the silence. Morning, she replied flatly. He hesitated, then offered a plate. Eat. You need strength. I'm fine, she said sharply, taking the plate but barely touching it. Michael's brow furrowed. I just want to help. That's all. Mariam's eyes flashed. I don't need your pity. The air grew tense, 2 strangers circling each other with unspoken words. You don't understand, she continued, voice shaking. I've had people like you, pretend to help, then disappear. I won't let it happen again. Michael's jaw tightened. He's not trying to hurt you, he thought. He's trying to heal, but she can't see it. After breakfast, they moved through the house in careful silence. The staff noticed the tension, the polite nods, the avoidance of eye contact. Mariam played with Hope, trying to focus on her child's small laughter. Michael watched from across the room, hands clenched, quietly hurt by her distance. Neither knew how to cross the invisible line their pride had drawn. The house, filled with warmth and luxury, now felt like a cage for 2 wounded hearts, safe, yet unreachable. Just as they began to inch closer, Michael's phone buzzed. A client demanded immediate attention. His world of meetings and contracts called him back. Mariam noticed. I thought, maybe this was different. I thought you cared. I do, he said softly, but the call yanked him back. I care, but life demands things. Her disappointment was palpable. She turned away, holding Hope's hand tightly. The silence spoke louder than words ever could. Later, Mariam sat alone in the guest room. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe all men with money are the same. Michael stared out the rain-streaked window, thinking about the whisper that changed everything. I came to help, and she's pushing me away. Why is this so hard? Both felt the pull of connection, yet their walls held firm. Emotional goal. Viewers feel the tension of longing blocked by fear and pride, the push and pull that makes love worth rooting for. Have you ever wanted someone but couldn't let them in? Comment yes if you felt the struggle of pride versus love. The next evening, Hope ran a high fever. Mariam's calm facade cracked instantly, panic and helplessness flooding her. I can't. I don't know what to do, she whispered, hands shaking as she pressed a damp cloth to her daughter's forehead. Michael, who had just returned from the office, saw the distress. His heart lurched. Without thinking, he lifted Hope gently. She needs a doctor. Now, he said, voice firm but kind. Mariam tried to intervene, but he held her back. Trust me. Just this once. Reluctantly, she nodded, surrendering to his urgency. The car ride was tense. Mariam sat silently, watching the city blur past, cheeks wet from both rain and worry. Michael drove calmly, though his hands were tight on the wheel, mind racing with options. At the emergency entrance, the nurse took Hope immediately. Mariam felt frozen, powerless. Michael stayed at her side, quietly reassuring, giving space without pressure. For the first time, Mariam noticed small gestures, the way he refused to let her pay, how he spoke softly to the staff, how his gaze never left her and her daughter. Hours passed. Mariam sat slouched in a plastic chair, exhausted and trembling. Michael pulled another chair close, but didn't force conversation. He simply sat, his presence a shield against her fear. Finally, she spoke, almost to herself. I didn't expect anyone to help like this. Michael's lips twitched into the faintest smile. Some people just can't ignore someone in need. Her eyes met his, guarded, suspicious, yet something deep inside recognized honesty. For a brief moment, the tension softened. Hope woke briefly, mumbling, I'm scared, Mommy. Mariam pulled her close, rocking gently. Michael watched, moved by the raw, unfiltered love between mother and child. He felt a pang of longing, not for wealth, not for status, but for connection, family, something real. Mariam noticed him staring. It's nothing, she said quickly, averting her eyes. He shook his head. It's everything, he whispered. The silence that followed was no longer cold. It was heavy with unspoken understanding. On the way home, the streets glistened under a newly washed city sky. The tension from yesterday had softened, vulnerability had replaced resistance. They shared small talk, cautious smiles, stolen glances. Michael revealed glimpses of his past, a childhood of wealth, isolation, and longing for connection. Mariam responded with small confessions, enough to let him see her heart without breaking it entirely. Hope fell asleep in Mariam's arms. Michael placed a gentle hand on Mariam's shoulder, not demanding anything, just grounding her. Back at the mansion, Mariam prepared a small cup of tea. Michael leaned against the counter quietly. You don't have to stay silent, he said softly. You can speak. I can listen. She hesitated, then whispered, It's just, I've been alone so long, I don't know if I can trust anyone. He nodded, understanding. Trust is earned. I don't expect it overnight. A fragile bond formed, built not on grand gestures, but quiet, mutual care. For the first time, both felt a warmth that wasn't tied to fear or expectation. Mariam sat at the breakfast table, staring at a cup of tea she didn't touch. Hope played quietly nearby, humming a soft tune. Michael entered, placing a small plate of toast before her. He hesitated, then spoke softly. You don't have to talk, but I'm here if you want to. Mariam took a shaky breath. It's complicated. He nodded, waiting patiently. Later that morning, Mariam tidied the guest suite. A photo slipped from a drawer, a crumpled image of her late husband at a construction site. Pain etched her face as she traced the photo's edges. Michael, noticing her distress, stepped closer. He looks like someone you loved very much. Mariam stiffened. He died because of negligence. From a company contract gone wrong. He trusted the wrong people. Michael froze. What do you mean? She swallowed hard. Your company, his accident, it was linked. I lost him, and almost everything else. Silence filled the room. The air felt heavy, suffocating, past tragedies meeting present compassion. Michael's chest tightened. His mind raced through years of board meetings, missed warnings, and financial deals he never signed personally. I didn't know, he said, voice strained. If I had, I would have. Would you? Mariam interrupted, eyes flashing with a mix of pain and disbelief. Would you really have cared, or would it have just been another headline in the news? He struggled. Words failed him. He wanted to fix this, to erase her grief, but he couldn't. For the first time, his wealth felt useless. Mariam gathered hope and started to leave. The weight of anger and betrayal pressed her down. I can't stay here, she whispered. I won't let myself be used as some charity case. Michael grabbed her hand gently. I never meant for this to be charity. I wanted to help, but I see now that's not enough. I'll prove to you, not with money, but with actions. She pulled back, tears brimming. Actions can't fix the past. He nodded. No. But maybe they can help us move forward. That night, neither slept well. Mariam lay staring at the ceiling, thinking of Michael's genuine concern, the way he had looked at hope, the way he had tried without overstepping. Michael, in his penthouse, replayed every interaction, every flicker of her expression. For the first time, he realized that redemption isn't just about correcting mistakes, it's about showing up, consistently, without expecting forgiveness. Despite the tension, the air between them carried a fragile thread, curiosity, compassion, and the first glimmers of trust. The revelation had cracked something open. Mariam's anger and grief now intertwined with a hesitant respect for the man who had risked everything to care for her and hope. Michael's guilt transformed into determination, not just to protect them, but to be worthy of their trust. They were no longer strangers. They were two wounded souls walking the tightrope between past pain and future hope. The mansion felt softer now. Mariam and Hope had grown accustomed to the warmth, not just of the rooms, but of Michael's presence. Mariam prepared a simple dinner, careful not to overstep in the luxurious kitchen. Michael watched her, leaning casually against the counter, eyes gentle and unintrusive. You make it look easy, he said softly. She glanced at him, a faint smile breaking through. Easy? Hardly. But it's better than sitting still and feeling helpless. He nodded. I know that feeling too well. Hope ran in, waving a small drawing she'd made of Michael, Mariam, and herself. Look, Mommy. This is us. Mariam laughed softly, pride and joy mingling with relief. Michael examined the drawing, stick figures with exaggerated smiles, bright colors, hearts everywhere. It's perfect, he said. Exactly how I'll remember tonight. They laughed together, a moment light and human, breaking months of tension. Later, by the fireplace, Mariam sipped her tea. I've spent so long protecting myself. I didn't know how to let anyone in. Michael's gaze softened. I understand. I've spent my life building walls I didn't realize were cages. She looked down. It's scary, letting someone see you when you've been broken. Scary, he agreed, but worth it. If it's right. For the first time, silence didn't feel heavy. It felt safe. Michael brought over a blanket for Hope, tucking her in gently. Mariam watched him, noticing small gestures, how he adjusted the blanket just right, whispered softly to soothe her daughter. I never knew people could care like this without wanting something in return, she murmured. Michael's eyes met hers. Sometimes people just want to do the right thing. No strings. No headlands. Just heart. Mariam's defenses softened. Trust was growing, fragile, yet real. That night, Mariam stepped outside onto the terrace. The city lights shimmered in the distance. Michael joined her, handing her a cup of hot cocoa. They stood side by side, silent. Rain had stopped, but the scent of wet earth lingered. You've changed my world, Mariam whispered. And you've changed mine, he replied. Their eyes met, a long, quiet acknowledgement. The first spark of love flickered. Unspoken, yet undeniable. The morning began quietly, but tension lingered. Michael's phone buzzed repeatedly, notifications from the media. An online article flashed on his screen, billionaire scandal, homeless mother moves in, is this a gold-digging scheme? Michael froze. Every accusation was false, yet public perception felt like a physical weight pressing against him. Mariam entered, noticing his change. What is it? He hesitated, unsure how to explain. Before he could speak, she had glimpsed the headline herself. Her eyes widened, disbelief and hurt flashing across her face. You invited me here, and now everyone thinks I'm some scheme. Her voice shook. Mariam's pride, already fragile from her past, erupted. You think money can fix everything, don't you? That all your power can cover the pain people caused me. Michael's voice was firm but desperate. No, it's not like that. I care about you, about hope. I never wanted this to happen. Then why can't anyone see it? Why does it always look like I'm being bought? The words hung in the air. Silence followed, heavy and suffocating. Mariam gathered her things, wrapping hope tightly in her arms. I can't stay. I won't let this happen again. I won't be humiliated for your mistakes, or anyone else's. Michael reached out. Wait. Mariam, please, don't go. But she was already gone, stepping out into the wet streets, leaving him standing alone in the grand hall. The mansion, once full of warmth, felt impossibly empty. Michael's heart ached, not for luxury lost, but for the trust and fragile love slipping away. Mariam stayed in a modest shelter that night, exhausted and heartbroken. She whispered to Hope, some people just aren't meant to stay. Michael, in his penthouse, replayed every interaction, every misstep, every silent moment he failed to bridge. He realized that love is not just about grand gestures, it's about protecting the trust you've built, even against the world. Mariam sat in the quiet of a small apartment she had secured for herself and Hope. Outside, the city hummed with indifferent life, but inside, her mind was stormier than any weather she had ever faced. She held Hope close, feeling her daughter's warmth, but also the emptiness of leaving Michael behind. Pride warred with longing. I can't go back. I won't be humiliated. But I miss him. I miss that safety, that care, that understanding. Her fingers trembled over her phone. She wanted to reach out. She wanted to forgive. But fear held her back. What if it's just pity? What if it ends the same way as before? Meanwhile, Michael stood on the terrace of his penthouse. The city sprawled beneath him. The mansion felt hollow without them. He replayed the argument, the way her eyes had flashed with pain, the way he had failed to protect her dignity. I can't let this end like this. I've waited too long to feel something real. I've waited too long to care about anyone like this, and I can't walk away now. His hand hovered over his phone. He could call her, text her. He could risk pride and embarrassment to fight for their chance. Michael left the penthouse and drove through the quiet streets of the city. Each mile brought clarity. Love isn't safe, it isn't easy, but it's worth the risk. Meanwhile, Mariam was restless, pacing the small apartment. She glanced at Hope sleeping and whispered, what if I'm wrong to run? What if he really cares? Her heart ached with uncertainty, but she also realized that staying away meant losing the possibility of happiness forever. Michael arrived at her door just as Mariam picked up the phone to finally call him. They both froze for a moment, eyes meeting across the short distance, the weight of hesitation, pride, and longing hanging between them. Michael, she whispered. Mariam, he replied, voice thick. I'm here. I'm not leaving. Not now. Not ever. Her chest tightened. I don't know if I can trust again. You don't have to trust me yet, he said softly. Just let me show you. Let me be here. Let me care. The decision was made, not by words alone, but by willingness to be vulnerable, to risk pain for love. They stood close, hands almost touching. Mariam finally let her defenses slip slightly. A tear rolled down her cheek, and Michael gently wiped it away. Hope stirred, half awake, and Michael knelt to smile at her. Mariam's heart swelled with a mixture of relief, love, and cautious hope. In that moment, both understood, pride was no longer stronger than love. Vulnerability was not weakness, it was their path forward. Morning sunlight streamed through the window of Mariam's modest apartment. Hope sat at the table, drawing, unaware of the emotional tension that had filled the night. A knock at the door. Mariam froze. She hadn't expected anyone, especially not him. Michael stood there, umbrella in hand, soaked from the morning drizzle. His eyes searched hers, full of vulnerability and hope. "Mariam," he said softly. She looked away, uncertain, heart pounding. "I came because I couldn't stay away. I don't care what anyone thinks. I don't care about pride, headlines, or past mistakes. I care about you and hope. Only you." Her breath caught. For a long moment, silence spoke louder than words. Mariam's voice trembled. I was scared. I thought you were just another man who would disappear." Michael stepped closer. "I understand. And I'm sorry for the chaos, for everything you've endured because of me. But I promise, I'm not leaving this time. You and Hope, you have nowhere to go because I want to be your home." Her eyes filled with tears, her heart torn between fear and longing. She saw the sincerity in his gaze, the honesty that had been missing from her life for too long. Hope clapped her small hands, sensing the shift in the air. Mariam knelt to embrace her daughter, and then slowly looked at Michael. A small, tentative smile formed. He reached out, and this time, she didn't hesitate. They held hands, the touch gentle yet electrifying, a promise of trust, healing, and love. "You do now," he whispered, echoing the words that had brought them together in the storm so many nights ago. Mariam smiled, her voice soft but confident. "Yes, we do now." Later, Michael took Mariam and Hope to the mansion, not to overwhelm, but to welcome. The house no longer felt like a cold fortress. It was filled with warmth, laughter, and possibility. They cooked together, shared stories, and for the first time, Mariam allowed herself to truly relax. Michael, standing back and watching, felt an unfamiliar peace. Not from wealth or power, but from being part of a real, imperfect, and loving family. That night, as rain softly tapped the windows, Mariam whispered to Michael, "We have nowhere to go." He smiled, taking her hand. "You do now." And in that repetition, the story came full circle. Despair transformed into hope, loss into love, and strangers into family. Subscribe now to be the first to catch up with the next intriguing love story.